Welcome, everybody, to the Course Consultant Show. My name's Melody, and I'm very excited to have a very special guest, Annie Franceschi. She is going to be talking all about some amazing tools and resources. But before I bring her on, I want to share some really great things about her. Annie Franceschi is a best-selling author, former Disney storyteller, six-figure founder, and branding expert based in Durham, North Carolina. And in 2013, Annie quit her job telling stories at Walt Disney Studios to start her own agency, Greatest Story Creative. And since then, she has branded over 100 businesses, spoken for thousands, and released a #1 self-development book, Permission to Try. Now, through her brand story solution and business consulting, Annie guides coaches, consultants, and service-based business owners who want to use their story to confidently, clearly, and consistently market and grow their businesses. Annie, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So, for those people who don't know you, I know that a while back I was actually on your show and we had a great chat. So, thank you again for taking the time to be on my show. For people who maybe aren't aware of who it is that you are and how you got started, we've shared a little bit about your background, but I always like to hear, how did you transition into branding from working at Walt Disney Studios?
Well, I am a weird one, which I can say I wrote a whole book about that story as to why and how I left a dream job at Disney to sort of start my dream life as an entrepreneur. I never thought I would have a business, but maybe like many of you watching or listening, I went into corporate America, told everybody I was going to have this big dream, got the dream job I wanted, and went, oof, this is not the life that I want. And I gave all of that up. I quit my dream job back in 2013 and I started a business, had no idea like what I was getting into, terrified, but I can say 7.5 years later, it's Great Creative, and I run a branding and business consulting company. So basically, I get to work with coaches and consultants, just like you do, Melody, to help them clearly and consistently market themselves. And I came to that sort of from a weird perspective because I worked at Disney and my job was to work on the marketing of upcoming films. I specifically was creating story presentations for big movies like Maleficent and the live action Cinderella. So it'd be my job to sort of tell those stories in pitch decks, in presentations that executives could take around the company and around the world to let people know about new movies. So love that work, but I love the work I do now even more because, as you know, because you work with a lot of coaches and consultants, when you help someone do something incredible in their business to add their value to other people's lives or other businesses, that is game changing. That's something that affects them for the rest of their lives. So there's nothing to me quite like the impact that you can have when you do work like that.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I really love how you've kind of wrapped up your expertise into this new-ish role because it's not completely brand new. You've been doing this for a while. I really want to pivot though to our topic, which is this really interesting concept that you shared with me via email about chips, the simple brand chips you need to land clients and sell more courses. So tell us about chips. What is chips? How do you use chips to actually promote yourself and your brand so that people can actually sell more of their courses?
Absolutely. Well, chips is something I sort of came to organically. This idea of having brand chips, it's a mnemonic. It's the 5 things you need to communicate clearly and consistently to people so that everybody knows what you do. One of the biggest mistakes I see coaches and consultants making is stressing about online, social media, all of these marketing tools that are really hard to convert people. Like, not that they're not important, but a lot of us don't build relationships and building referral partners like you and I connecting. So, because you were on my show, Branding with Friends, that began a relationship between the two of us. So I could reach back out to you, right? And that's how, I'm here today because I let you know something new is going on. But I don't see enough coaches and consultants really, one, building authentic referral relationships that can, a couple great referral partners, you never have to market yourself at all if you have people sending you the perfect clients right away. The other piece is not just the networking part, but it's the clear communication. And so I think that, as a branding and business consultant, this is what I can uniquely do and how I created the CHIPS framework. So I created a mnemonic to help you define the 5 things you need to clearly communicate when you strategically network with people to get them to send you more ideal clients. That might be more ideal clients for your group program, more ideal clients for your course, but basically bringing in those warm folks that are exactly who you want to speak to begins with you taking action to talk to people and to clearly communicate when you talk to them.
Yes, I love that. And one thing I want to just share for people who are listening or maybe watching this recording, I have some really great resources about how to get started with your affiliate program, not only for courses, but also for services. And so, as Annie was saying, it just reminds me about how important those relationships are. And just as you said, having those strategic relationships doesn't always mean that you are going to have to go out and use a paid advertisement platform like Facebook ads or Pinterest ads or Google ads. And there's nothing wrong with doing paid advertisements, but the story of word of mouth and the power of word of mouth is so incredibly powerful because more than likely, when I'm looking for a service or if I'm looking for a course or a resource, I am going to ask my friends and my partners. And so if I know that I am aware of a product or service through a friend, I am two, three, five times more likely to purchase from them. So I really like that you are able to share that with your audience, Annie. And so tell me more about the mnemonic. You don't have to break everything out, but we do. I will definitely make sure that I link over to that free resource that you shared.
Yes, so we've got this great resource. We'll talk about it later called Your Best Referral Bio. And don't worry, because it's going to explain chips to you, but we're going to do a little bit of that today too at Melody's invitation. But, the idea here is that where chips comes from and how it kind of works is like Melody just explained, she's going to ask if you need something, she's going to go ask her tribe. I'm going to do the same thing. You want to be a card in somebody else's deck. You want to be played at just the right moment. Melody, oh, I'm looking for the person who does this. And you go, oh, I know just the right person. That's what you want to happen. And if you want that to happen, you have to put all your chips on the table. So that's where CHIPS comes from. And CHIPS is an abbreviation. It's an acronym. So it stands for your category, your hook, your ideal client, the biggest problem you solve, and the most valuable solution you offer for that problem.
I love that. And it's just so clearly laid out. And one thing that I really find for people who are just starting out in their entrepreneurship journey, or even people who have been around for a while, is I'm sure you probably heard this before. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So
Aren't we all? Aren't we
yes,
all? Yeah.
and it's okay to have multiple interests, but it can be a lot more difficult to find your ideal clients unless you really strategically say, I am a blank who is able to help blank with blank through blank. And so, there's a lot of different ways to phrase it. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter, but when you start to identify who it is that you want to attract, who it is that you want to repel, and when you're able to communicate it clearly, as Annie has said, it's so much more potent. And you're going to have people tag you in Facebook groups, tag you, via email and make a quick introduction. And that is the wonderful nature of growing your sphere of influence. So just right now, actually, I'm planning a summit in the beginning of May, and I met many, many other people who have a specific niche or audience who understands what it is that they're doing and how they can help. And so I immediately am able to hook them up with a speaker role. And likewise, you hold some workshops with other folks in a specific industry to help on a specific topic as well, which I absolutely love. So share more with me because we're having a great conversation.
Absolutely. And I think, Melody, you are a great example of how CHIPS works because that's how I found you. I have a show called Branding with Friends, and I bring on different people. So we do branding and SEO, branding and social media. I wanted to do an episode on online courses. And who do we find but the host of the Course Consultant Show, who works with coaches and consultants just like I do. You were very easy to find because you did what I want to encourage. I encourage more and more of my consulting clients to do, to worry less about standing out and focus more on understanding. So that's what CHIPS can do, because I understood that you would be a perfect fit. And I get this feedback from my virtual assistant who helps me find guests, that it's really hard sometimes to find guests because people are so worried about making themselves sound so creative or trying to appeal to everybody that we don't learn who you are and who you work for. And I can't invite you to an opportunity like to get in front of my audience, and you can't invite them to get in front of your audience if you don't know what they really do best. And this is not about, I think that the biggest message I want to say, people who are on the fence about the niching and stuff, I've been there too. It doesn't have to be super specific. My ideal client is not, branding Jane who shops at J. Crew and all these things. I hate the avatar stuff. I have, a general sense of my ideal client. It's women, in particular, coaches and consultants who are 40 to 60. Like, that's who, really has gotten the most value from what I do, who I love working with, where we have the most synergy. It doesn't have to be more, more like that, but just saying coaches and consultants, like, here I am on the Course Consultant Show, that is not an accident, right? And so what I want people to understand is that it's not limiting you, and to fly your flag. It doesn't mean that you can't change things later, but the best thing you can do is say, what am I best at? And highlight that, and use a tool like Chips to start communicating that clearly. Because I'm seeing people, if they try it once, that was a lot, right? You have got to it takes, I think, an average of 8 times hearing something. That's what I've heard from Donald Miller's podcast, Building a Story Brand, is takes the average consumer 8 times hearing something before they even remember it. And this is why it's so important to get a simple message, sing it again. Why do you sing your favorite song lyrics over and over? If the band kept changing the same lyrics, you would never remember the song. So that's what Chips has a lot to do with, and why something, we call it so simple, the simple brand Chips, that can be the game changer, because it is really just, what do I want people to know most about me? Not everything, but what do I want to stay top of mind for? Because you and I, we don't have time to fit 100 things about the next person we meet. We probably have 1 or 2. So what do you want to be known for? That's what it's all about, to put your chips on the table.
Yeah. And I also think it's helpful, not just from a service perspective, but also from an offer perspective. So there's some phrasing that I just want to break down for people listening. When I'm referring to offer, I just mean either a service or a product. So sometimes if someone says, oh, that's so-and-so, and they're known for XYZ, I'm just saying this is their signature service, this is their signature product. Doesn't mean that they don't have 20 other products or another service, but for the most part, I know certain people have a signature service. So, for instance, just for those who are listening, go back to one of my other interviews with Angela Tan. She is a funnel creator specifically for evergreen webinars. And what I really like about that is she has a course that's about evergreen webinars, and she has a signature service. And then I have plenty of other examples of that. But I think what I like about what you're saying is, when you're creating these relationships, you're going to be able to expand the network that you have, get other people aware of what it is that you do, and not really have to worry about, oh, they don't know exactly what I do, I'm going to have to explain myself over and over again. Or, okay, now I have to write out 2 paragraphs of what it is that I do because I don't think they clearly understand it. One last thing that I wanted to mention, I think that having a little, what I do and what I've done before for other clients or referral partners, I actually record a little training of, hey, here's who I am, here's what my affiliate program pays out, here's what my services are. If you know anyone that could use this, please feel free to reach out to me and I will pay out X percentage. And so I think for me, that's been really helpful. And it doesn't have to be fancy. I just leave that recording up on Vimeo as a private link, and then I share it with my partners. And it's super simple. It doesn't take that much to actually put together.
So you could take Melody's tip there and get the Chips template, find what they are, and then just record one of the messages. There's 3 elevator pitches in the template that you can use. So you can rock and roll. I love that idea, Melody, to have that video ready to go. I also recommend putting it in the body of the email, because I know that when I am thinking about somebody, I go back to that email, and what one of the templates will do is actually gives you a little script so that I can equip Melody to easily refer me. She can just copy the bottom of that email and say, hey, you might want to meet my friend Annie. Here's what she does. Here's how to get in touch with her. So you never have to spend your precious mental bandwidth to introduce me. And that making it easy is what it's all about.
Exactly. I love it. I'm going to have to go check this out. So, Annie, you have lots of amazing resources on your website, and then you also host workshops. Tell me about the workshops that you host, as obviously I was on one of them, but you have plenty of other amazing experts on the show.
Yes, so I have two things that I do on a monthly basis, and Melody was on my show called Branding with Friends. So if you want to learn more about branding on an on-demand sort of way, there's 20 plus episodes at brandingwithfriends.com. Everything from branding and trademarks to branding and contracts to branding and online courses. So I bring on special guests there, and that's on-demand content as a YouTube series. And then I have something called Branding with Annie. And I'm coming up on the 4-year anniversary of Branding with Annie. It is a monthly workshop series that I host about 10 months of the year, different topics generally every month, but we dive into best practices as a coach or consultant for branding your practice. So the next one coming up, I believe, is in June. It's on Monday, June 7th. And topic has not yet been announced, but I'm sure it will be great. In the past, we've done things like taglines, brand visuals, let's see, client experience is one we're doing in May. So it's all these things. You can take actionable tips away, get live coaching from me. It's really fun and it's free. So what do you got to lose? You can check that out at brandingwithannie.com.
Perfect, perfect. And I do want to just say that branding yourself is not just social media specific or specific to an industry. So branding in general, and this is what I love about your content, Annie, is just a good practice for small business owners or owners regardless of your background. So you can brand yourself on Instagram, you can brand yourself on Facebook. And I'm not just saying colors and fonts, but like authority wise, who are you? What is it that you do? And emails and sales pages, Clubhouse, wherever it is that you're showing up online, branding is an important tool for your business. So as you are going through this and you're listening to this, I highly recommend you check out Annie and all the amazing resources that she has to offer. So you talked with me about all of your workshops. We talked briefly about your bio template, but let's talk about that again as we kind of go through your amazing content that you have.
Yes, absolutely. So I just think that this is a great tool, and it was born from a need, right? Because I know you and I know I've met so many leadership coaches, I can't keep them straight, for example. But if you're a leadership coach who tells me that your specialty is onboarding, and you have this great signature coaching program that's all about onboarding, I'm going to remember that. And that way, when I have an opportunity, I'm going to instantly connect you to the right person, connect you to the right opportunity. It is about picking sort of your stake in the ground. And that's what, coming up with chips will help you do. So to dive a little bit deeper into those things, I think one of the big ahas that I had and what I'm trying to share with you guys is the C and the H. So the category and the hook. Everybody who wants to brand themselves is so worried about the hook. How do I stand out? What makes me special? How am I a special snowflake? All of those things. Wonderful. The hook matters, that twist on whatever it is you do. But if you don't pair it with that larger category, people don't get that it's valuable to them. Like, for example, I used to go around networking and introduce myself and say, hi, I'm a business storyteller. And they go, oh, that's so interesting. And I tell this whole story about how I tell your story in every aspect of your business and blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh, that's so interesting. And never work with me, never refer people to me. Instead, now I say, hey, I do branding. And they say, oh, great. And I say, yeah, I help you tell your story in your messaging. And they go, oh, I need that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's suddenly a little bit different. So you can't, I get that people don't want to be tied into, and life coaches are a big one, hate being called life coaches. But if that's the category you're in, let me know. Life coaching is what you do, but what's your spin on it? That's the hook. They work together. But when you lead with just the hook, people don't get the context. So I'm sort of on this mission against, I'm a big hater of creative job titles for that reason, because they confuse more than they convert. Really keeping it simple. Tell people the category you work in so that, for example, they're like, I need a branding person. Who does branding? They go, oh, I know somebody, Annie. Like, that's not the only thing I'm known for. I'm mostly known for helping you tell your story and clear messaging. But if I led with that, they're not going to instantly think of me, nor know where to put me when opportunities come up. So sometimes a boring thing like your main category doesn't hurt you. It actually helps you.
I really like that. There's so many different titles that I've come across recently, and I have a hard time formulating how can I work with them. But others, it's just really clear. Like I have a good contact who is a gamification expert, and she talks about playfulness and how to incorporate playfulness in your business. And it's very, very unique. But then I know, maybe 5 social media strategists, and I go, okay, well, what part of social media do they fit in, and who it is who is it that they help. So great recommendations. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that is about it on all of my questions. I think I will be sure to answer and post all of the links that you have shared with us and the resources. Any last recommendations or tips for those listening and or watching for branding yourself and getting people to book you for services and courses?
I think it's really what we've been talking about, the heart and soul, which is focusing on understanding and less about standing out. And the tools like what we talked about today, the advice we've given today, and that your best referral bio template is going to help you do that. So I say embrace simplicity, always choose clarity over creativity, and you're going to see over time that that's going to strengthen your relationships, bring you more ideal clients, sell more courses, and generally make sure that everybody knows your name and what you do. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that is a great way to grow a business without stressing about your marketing.
Fabulous. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on today's show, Annie. I super appreciate it. Looking forward to sharing this episode, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Melody. It was a pleasure.